Hello, my name is Tina, and I want to talk about some dreams. And these dreams are, and these topics are harder, much more difficult to speak about because they are hot topics in our communities. They're also topics that I believe have touched my life personally in very negative ways, and people that get excited about these topics only think about themselves or only think about it in one dimension. They don't think about it in the dimensions as it affects others. And but I will share visions and dreams that I've had, as well as some of my own personal experiences. And perhaps I should start with those things that have a little bit less emotion with them and kind of build up. So I had a dream that I had returned from somewhere and I had been living outside of the United States, and I understood that I had been gone for a long time. And I was in a van, and I was sitting in the back of a van, and it reminded me of the days when I was in the military. So I believe that I will be in the military again. And I was in a city that I once lived, and I don't know what city this will be. And I was shocked to see lines of people. They were lined up along this highway that went through this city, and there were large apartment buildings along this highway, and where these people had been living, and they had come out and they were standing, they had taken sidewalks and they were now standing along the highway waiting to be picked up. And they were mostly, everyone that I can remember were young and older women, so like teenagers, and then much older women, 50s, 60s, and then 16. I remember a young girl, she was like 16 years old, and then an older woman that was, I mean, not old, because 60 doesn't seem old to me now, but she was like in her 60s, maybe had retired or still had a little bit of more time, but not long till retirement. And both of these women that I remember, I think that they were African American. And but race didn't necessarily stand out, but what stood out was that none of them had shoes, and I understood these people to be poor, and they all had sleeping bags in their hands, and they were all these sleeping bags had been unrolled, and they were laying they were all these people were standing, and they're standing next to one another, but in a line along the street, on the sidewalk, deliberately waiting to be picked up. But they must have been, I don't know if they were told to do this, but they were all doing the same thing with the sleeping bags, holding these sleeping bags along their bodies. They were not rolled up. Again, they didn't have any shoes, and I remember the young girl, the 16-year-old, she had a short sleeve shirt on, and they didn't have any baggage with them. There were no bags, no clothes, nothing. It was just they had this sleeping bag, and that was all. And I remember the older woman too, like she had really short hair, and thinking to myself that it looked different than normal, like that maybe she normally would have had a different hairdo. I felt sorry for the young woman. I felt sorry for all of them somehow, and I don't know in the dream, and don't know now, how I knew the type of place they were going, especially since I had just arrived back in the States, and I was shocked to see that what I was seeing had become normal, but I understood the kind of place that they would be going. And I felt sorry for them and understood that they were not prepared for the conditions, the weather conditions and the cold that they would be encountering. And I was sorry for them. There was nothing I could do. And again, I was just shocked to see how this had become normal life in America. People lined up to be picked up, and they were being taken to camps. I know that they were going to camps. And since that time, I have had additional understandings and dreams. I had a dream about FEMA camps. I was told FEMA means loss of freedom, and that was the end of the dream. Someone actually, I heard that, I was told that. So, military camps are, especially overseas, they look like prison camps. Soldiers are essentially prisoners of the military. You're not allowed to leave. If you do, then you're a federal fugitive. And when you do leave, you always have to have permission. And you're only allowed to go so many miles. And so the government has this down. I'm just trying to say. So, and overseas too, they have like these big towers, and we run the perimeter just like prisoners do. So, that when I had that in the dream where I understood where she was going, I was thinking of when I would be out in the field and it would be very cold and we had tents and things, and it's hard to get warm from the environment, and you're out in the middle of nowhere and there's nobody to help you, and there is nothing. So anyway, moving on. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was soldiers being sterilized. I had a dream that I had some kind of, I don't know what my position was or what I was doing in life, but I had an understanding that soldiers were being sterilized, and I was very angry when I found this out. That means they were made so they can't have children, right? Right now, they're able to do that voluntarily, but they were being forced to do this in the army. And my experience with this, many women are sexually, I don't know if I want to go here, exploited, and that's all over the news, I guess, you know, so I guess you can read about that, but that is my own personal experience as well as being, I don't really want to go there either, but I don't know the answers, but there is a lot of wickedness, and forcing women to be sterilized is not the answer, nor is forcing women to have abortions, or women having abortions voluntarily because of the wrong person, even if it was rape. It's an innocent child, and women we're meant to be mothers, and it's a privilege that it's wrong to take from us. And it's a great blessing when it's done in the right ways. I have children, and it was taken away from me, and this kind of segues into why I'm passionate about my opposition with gay marriage and the movement with the transgenderism. All of this is to diminish the importance of mother and father. my spouse, my husband, took away, of course he never said this, but even my community who were religious, nothing was ever said, but all of these things hurt me deeply, and I know that it has hurt my children, and even their chances to have a family someday. But when you can remove a mother or a father so easily, or you brainwash everyone into believing that, then there is no more need for a family. You just have the government raise children. And as well as erasing gender, is offensive that you even think that you can erase gender. Being in the army, I'm going to tell you right now, women are not as strong as men. Now, there are some men that I was stronger than, or at least as strong as. I'll tell you, there are huge differences between men and women, and men all day long will beat me physically. Not only that, men do not have menstrual periods, and they are very painful. And they do not have babies, unless you're some oddity. And look, I don't care if you put on a dress. Bless you. I love you, my dear friend that is a transgender. But you will never know the pain every 26 days of a period. And, well, I dislike it. There is a little pride in having that kind of pain. Like, it's like the pain of a warrior, okay? Like, men have this warrior complex. Well, women, look, you don't steal my thunder with that. And I am offended that women would even want a man to be a woman. Like, what is wrong with you? Like, no. So, no. Like, and a man is not a mother, and another woman cannot just come in and swoop in and take over a mother's position. Like, she can be substitute somewhat, but she will never replace that mother. The woman that came in and took over, I met her, we were friends, but she could never be me. And as much as my ex-husband wanted to destroy me, erase me, and wish me never to have lived, that was not going to happen, and you can't do that. And that is what all of these things are. Transgenderism and gay marriage, like erasing mother and father. And as well as everything else every straight person is trying to do with women, erasing the dads, never letting them speak to their dads, all kinds of things. Like, it's so offensive. Like, you destroy your own standing as a mother when you do that. Like, it's just offensive. Like, the family is the most important thing ever, and all of these things destroy the family, and this is paramount. And so I know you're gonna send me hate mail, but I felt this even stronger when I was in the army, and so many of my battle buddies are gay. I love you, but and God loves you, and it's not the weakness that is in us, because I have my own weaknesses, and I'm not going to get into any of them. We all have something that we're dealing with. It is not the weakness that makes you unlovable or incomplete for God, or is that anything imperfect even. You're perfect. God wants you even to have those weaknesses, but they are to come closer to God. You are to use those to know Him, and to ask for His guidance and help and love to grow closer to Him. It's not to separate yourself or to wonder why he hates you. It's not, that's Satan whispering lies. It's also when Christians are thinking that because someone has those inclinations, like to be gay or transgender, that they are not worthy of God's love or worthy of blessings when they are obedient to commandments, is wrong. As long as anyone, no matter who they are, what their temptations, they obey the commandments, they're worthy in the sight of God, because we all have temptations. All of us have weakness. And it looks different for each person, but all of us have it. So, and I think sometimes that those weaknesses are challenges for other people. Like when I have seen people, men specifically, that are gay, and I can tell that they have been bullied, I am very sorry for them, and it makes me very sad. But I think that those people that bully them are going to have a heavy price to pay when they meet God, because those people were totally innocent and at their mercy, and they did nothing for that kind of treatment. So, but I know you're still probably mad at me for what I'm going to say, but I don't know. Your feelings don't really matter. The facts only count. And the fact is that the family is the most important. Children need a mother and a father, and that's what's required to have a family. And that's ultimately all that matters. I am not married, I am divorced, and I have my own problems, so I'm not like on any kind of soapbox preaching this. But I heard a radio broadcast, and it's a little bizarre how it came about. It wasn't a real radio broadcast. It was a vision that I had. And it sounded a lot like a radio broadcast that I actually did hear when I was in San Francisco in 2015. And the woman that I heard in San Francisco in real life, she was bashing on Moses and calling him mentally ill. This radio broadcast, I believe, is the same woman, and she was very excited, and she was waiting to hear back from the Constitution was being changed for transgenderism to be added as a constitutional amendment or protection. Protection just for transgenders. It didn't include the other things. So there was a waiting that the judges had all gone in and they were voting on it. And this woman was on the radio talking very excitedly, and she couldn't wait, to hear about this. So anyway, so it's a constitutional amendment, a change to our Constitution that would add transgender protection. And this is a pivotal change. I don't understand all of it, but I'm sure like the political people, they will be able to understand better like what this would mean for the landscape of our society, which I have some idea. But the Lord has told me that to share this, and that this is huge, and this is going to be the tipping point that is like the last straw. And I don't know if this is what. Okay, I can guess all day long about things that what might happen. I probably shouldn't. So, but it's a big deal, whatever this means and whatever is going to happen next. But it is a big thing. And but this is like the ultimate destroying of the family. And not only that, this is USSR. This is what the communists did. They erased gender off of the birth certificates. If you talk to people that have lived in that, they still remember all of that. I talked to some people just recently when I was in Europe on the airplane, and they were shocked to hear that this was happening in America. And so anyway, this is God's land, and He will destroy us if you do this. And this will be the last straw. So what God does is He removes His protection, and He says, oh, okay. So, do you have no idea how He protects us now, all the time? You, even those that are totally rebellious and hate Him, you're being protected all the time. So, I don't know, that's what He wanted me to share. And I'll probably get a lot of hate mail now, but there you go. So, I don't know. God bless you, and